my 30-year financial goal was achieved at 25 probably. They told me, okay, we have seen your work and we have decided to, make our own team. So would you like to join us directly? So I was like, of course, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't join? I mean, to put it in perspective, I would say my lifestyle completely changed when I joined Circle. So I sent a personalized email to the founder saying, okay, I see this opportunity at your company. I'm not ready to switch yet because I'm happy at my current organization. However, I would like to, be at a company sometime in the future. So please keep eyes on me and I'll do the same. I am from a tier 2, tier 3 college. So, and I never in this entire podcast, I mentioned something about marks and being intelligent, being the topper. So I would say that is immaterial. So when I was in third year, I wanted to follow a traditional path to success, like engineering karo, then masters karo, or dollar mein kamao. But then I got this introduced to this big binary internship, and that gave me a strong hope and a ray of like positive attitude that says that okay, we can make a strong and remote career based in India as well without actually spending lakhs of rupees on student loans, and I would be able to earn comparable to what people earn there eventually.
Welcome to Beyond the Brackets. I am Pariti.
I am Nitesh, and today we have Rohit Joshi with us. Rohit is a full-stack developer at Circle, where he works with Ruby on Rails and React. Circle is a high-growth startup based out of the US. In fact, when Rohit joined Circle in 2021, it was less than 20 people, and today they have more than 130 employees. Is that right, Rohit?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for
Hey,
having me
Rohit.
here to this podcast. Excited to do this.
One of the really cool things about Circle is that it's a fully remote startup with employees working out of
Hmm.
30 plus countries. And the best part is that they offer US benchmark compensation no matter where you are in the world, like even in India. And that
Yep.
is like a really rare thing. So that's why we're really thrilled to have you here with us today to talk about your journey and the lessons that you can share for the listeners who want to follow your path.
Sure. Yeah. Shoot away. What do you want to know?
Yeah, so first thing, tell me about like a day in your life as a developer.
There are no set working hours as such, but they expect us to work for 8 hours per day and 40 hours per week in general, but they do not monitor it very strictly as long as the deliverables are done on time and you do your due diligence and have a good work ethic. That's it. And for me
Does it mean that
specifically,
the day, so sorry to
uh,
interrupt, but does it mean that your working hours like typically go over 40 hours and this is just, something that they say that we don't monitor it, but in fact, they're just giving you a lot of work
no, I would say it goes under, but never over 40 hours.
Nice.
Because it's like a gray area. What counts as works? Meetings count as work, replying on Slack counts and as work, actually coding work sounds at work. So we have a guideline saying like 40% of your time should go towards coding, 40% towards code reviews and communication, and 20% for the rest of the miscellaneous tasks that you have. So it's
Hmm.
a general guideline that we follow, but more or less that is what happens when you get get shit done. Yeah.
And
So
like contrast this with the culture that you've seen for, let's say, an India-based company, maybe from your previous employer, or maybe from maybe your friends who are working at an India-based company.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, most of the companies in India, let's say big corporates, are first of all not adapted to the remote working culture that is developed at Circle from day one, because it was remote from day one. Instead, during COVID, most of the companies started operating remotely, but they did not have the processes in place as such. So they still expected employees to be synchronous in their work ethic. So what I mean by that, at Circle, we follow asynchronous culture. So all meetings and stand-ups are discouraged. And we encourage posting on Slack and providing asynchronous updates, because since people are from different time zones in various countries, they are productive on in the daytime usually. So we don't want to have like late night meetings for anyone. And in meetings in general, I would say. So for me, it's like we do not have a daily stand-up. We just have one weekly call where we share updates with each other and sync. But in contrast, in India, what I observed is, we are always on our toes. See if the Zoom status is online, and somebody wakes up and starts that they says good morning. Why do you need to say good morning? I mean, just say whatever you want and get like a reply, or good morning and actually ask the question in the next message. Don't wait for them to reply back, hi, good morning, and then have another set of handshakes to, start the actual work. So these small things add up to productivity in a remote company, where I think Indian companies can improve over there. And yeah, that's it. And thankfully for me, my manager is from Poland. So it is like 3 hours behind India. So I usually start my day around noon. After I play badminton in the morning, work out, and chill. And after that, like around noon, I start my day usually, where it is 9 a.m. in Poland. So it's good for me. And the day ends when the Poland time ends around 5 p.m. in Poland is like 7, 8 p.m. in India. So no late night meetings for me, thankfully. So yeah, even the US time zone starts like around 6:30 p.m. in India. So we generally keep the meetings with US people in the second half of our work, like in the evenings. Yep.
Can you also share why you decided to build your career with Ruby on Rails, and how easy was it finding Rails jobs in the market?
Sure. So as you know, traditional Indian education, like I graduated from Pune. We do not have Ruby on Rails in our syllabus, like B syllabus, computer science syllabus. How I came to know about Ruby on Rails is like I got an internship in a fully remote company before COVID called Big Binary, and approached them with a project that I made in Android. I sent them a video and they liked it and offered me an internship. Before offering that internship, they told me to learn about Ruby on Rails. And I had a couple of my relatives working in that technology, and they suggested that's a good technology. So why not take it up? So I actually ended up learning like two, three different courses and books before joining the first internship. And I actually liked it. If you just open the Ruby on Rails website, it's like the first line that it says is made for developer happiness and code conventions. So over most like verbose configuration, Ruby on Rails depends upon having good defaults and start very quickly. It is used generally by startups for rapid prototyping, and you can hit the market really fast if you make apps in Ruby on Rails. It may not be the most performant or as fast as C++ or Java, but it gets you up and running faster, I would say. So yeah, that's why I like. And the syntax is very simple, like English-like syntax as compared to the brackets and semicolons used in C++. So that's what I like about Ruby. Yeah.
Right. And like continue on with how was it like the experience of finding the Rails job?
Right. So that's how I did my internship. I was there for a couple of months, and unfortunately, that did not get converted to a full-time job. And I was in my fourth year at that time in engineering. We had placements. Fortunately, I landed a job in Persistent Systems, which is like Indian MNC with around 15,000 employees and all. So I was safe, but I was slightly disappointed that I did not get the opportunity in Big Binary. Uh, but that is what it is, and I joined Persistent Systems anyways. I was hoping that I would get a opportunity to work in Rails while I was in Persistent. So that is what I insisted my manager also, but that didn't work out. So I was there for like 5-6 months until I found my next opportunity, which was a Ruby on Rails company called Josh Software. It's an Indian startup, and I really liked working at Josh Software. I got like a small team of mine. I got a chance to mentor two to four developers under me and with me, I would say. And
how did you find out? Yeah. How did you get this opportunity?
For Josh Software, actually attended a meetup in Persistent itself about Ruby on Rails. And that's where I came to know about that, okay, this company sponsors RubyConf India and has a lot of name in the Ruby community in India. So it must be a good Rails company. Let me approach them. So they had an off-campus drive announced on their career space. So I went there and got in touch with them and sent my resume over. So they called me for the interview. Yeah.
Love it.
So, okay, you were working at Josh and then you transitioned to a fully remote job at a company called Saloon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
can
right.
yeah, so
The
can
pronunciation
you
is
tell us
right.
this can you tell us the story of how you found your first fully remote Rails developer job at Saloon?
Yeah, sure. So while working at Joe Software, COVID happened, and after like a couple of months, that job also was technically remote because was working from home. But I knew they didn't believe in the remote culture, and eventually we would go back someday or the other. So I mean, I wasn't particularly looking for a remote job as such, but so how I joined Saloon was like the director of Big Binary started his own startup called Saloon. And I was in touch with him on LinkedIn and in general, not LinkedIn, just other social media handles. And I came to know about, okay, this startup exists. And I was closely watching their growth. I wanted to join, but I did not have enough experience to, crack the interview or be as valuable to them as I could be in a small startup of like 3, 4 people. So I waited. But one fine day, I found out that they have grown significantly. Like at that time, the team was like 10 to 15 people, and they had an open position for a junior Rails developer there. So I figured, why not? At least let's cold email the founder, and that is what I did. So I sent a personalized email to the founder saying, okay, I see this opportunity at your company. I'm not ready to switch yet because I'm happy at my current organization. However, I would like to be at a company sometime in the future, so please keep eyes on me and I'll do the same. Uh, the so the founder
Not the
actually
usual cold
reverted.
email that people send.
Yeah, not the actual cold email, because I already had a job and I was happy. Otherwise people are like pushy about it. I was actually, hold on, I'm just there, just planning for the future. But to my surprise, what the founder replied was with a coding assessment. He just said, okay, here, okay, whatever you say, just here is the assignment, just try and give it and we'll see. So I figured out, okay, I mean, if he wants me to give the assessment, I could do that, I guess. So I did the assessment and they liked me and they gave me a good offer, which was like very difficult to refuse. I would say it was 100% hike from my current opportunity and like current compensation at Josh. So yeah, I was like, it was a no-brainer to switch. And I did switch. So that is how I landed. I mean, I didn't switch for the remote job culture as such. I switched totally because of the compensation and the future growth that I would see at a like US based consultancy. And
That's great to hear.
yeah.
And so then you worked at Saloon for a few months and then you switched again to Circle and which is your current job. So how did that switch
Mm,
happen then?
yeah, not really. So I won't call it a switch as such. It was more like a transition. I worked at Saloon for over a year, I would say. So while I was in Saloon, I was actually working for Circle as a client and essentially doing the same work that I do right now, but through Saloon. And what happened is after a year or two, Circle had grown significantly and they wanted to have people on their own payroll. And that is when like a couple of my colleagues joined Circle through Saloon itself, and then they offered me the same offer as them, and they told me, okay, we have seen your work and we have decided to make our own team, so would you like to join us directly? So I was like, of course, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't join? I mean, to put it in perspective, I would say my lifestyle completely changed when I joined Circle. So it's the dream. So what it means, when I join a Circle, I would get compensated in USD. Until now, it was like the salary was in INR, but now the salaries would be in US dollars. And every month they would send me US dollars. I would convert it to INR, and that's the dream everybody wants to achieve, right? Spend,
And
earn in dollars and spend in rupees.
it
Yeah.
was essentially for the same work that you were already doing at Saloon. Like there was no learning graph that happened at Circle
Yeah,
as
yeah,
such.
yeah. No learning curve as such because had been working there for 1.5 years almost before, like the exact same job. And they had trust in me because of that. So I did not have to go through a formal interview process also, fortunately for that. and it was more of a only like call it operational shift.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, and after that I like became a totally remote employee of a foreign US product company called Circle.
So a couple of questions. I have a couple. Wow. Yes.
Yep.
So I have a couple of questions, follow-up questions here. First is you mentioned your lifestyle completely changed. So tell me, like, how did your lifestyle change specifically? Like, can you give any examples of what you were doing before and how it changed after you got the job at Circle?
Sure. So for me, I would say it definitely like expanded my horizons in terms of my thought process with the compensation and flexibility Circle provided me. I would say like my 30-year-old, like 30, when I was in college, my 30-year financial goal was achieved at 25 probably. So I had to calibrate that first. But I could see a shift in me changing the perspective towards valuing relations, convenience, and friendship more and experiences more over the costs because they didn't matter much in India anymore. So yeah, that's the main shift I would say. Other than that, it's the same. I mean, it's
Right.
just more FDs, more mutual funds right now. I'm a like unmarried single person who do not have like a lot of responsibilities. So far so good. Yeah.
That sounds amazing, and that sounds like living the dream. Especially like in India, this type of a money is like fuck you money that gives you the freedom to do anything that you want in your life now.
Yeah, I won't say fuck you, but I would say I did not feel like the inferiority complex that generally people in India feel for people going to masters and earning in dollars because now I do it here. So I can live a better life here, I think, with that same
Yeah.
compensation.
Right. So you were planning to go do a master's after your bachelor's, master's from abroad and then earn in dollars.
Yeah, why not? So definitely, I joined Delhi Poke Academy when I was in third year. Wanted to follow a traditional path to success, like engineering karo, then masters karo, or dollar mein kamao. But then I got this introduced to this big binary internship, and that gave me a like strong hope and a ray of like positive attitude that says that okay, we can make a strong and remote career based in India as well without actually spending lakhs of rupees on student loans, and I would be able to earn comparable to what people earn there eventually because I saw people in big binary that were working hard and earning that much. So yeah, that's how I completed the Delhi Poke class, but I did not actually give GRE and go anywhere. I stayed here.
Right. So, like, if you meet people today who are planning to go for a master's and trying to do GRE, like, do you advise them to not do it and explore like remote work opportunities from here as well?
I wouldn't go against them as such. I mean, if you have the money, first of all, it's not a small thing to spend 50, 70 lakhs upfront. So if you have that kind of money already lying around, yeah, go for it, man. Education is always encouraged. Go there, learn masters, do your masters, and get a job, and get a remote job in US over there, and convince a manager that I'll work from India if you want to be with your family and friends. That is a like a even better approach, I would say. But if that's difficult, then don't like be disheartened. There is plenty of opportunity in India as well, is what I would say. I mean, those people who can't afford to do masters or don't want to do masters, even not just for financial reasons, but for cultural reasons, for family obligations, anything. This is an alternate way to success for them, I would say.
Right. And this brings me really nicely to my next question, which is how how do people find remote jobs, like such good remote jobs out of India that pay in dollars and don't peg you to the Indian INR like market?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. It's not so easy. It came to me 50% by luck, I would say, and 50% by being intentional and planning for the future and to be at the right place at the right time. Not the traditional path I followed. I switched my first on campus placement company within 5 months. and the next company within 11 months. So I knew I was not at the place I needed to be for jump like this, and was prepared for the future. I didn't know COVID was going to happen, but thankfully it happened when I was in a position where I could, sustain. So I would say plan for it. Choose what you want to do first. Okay, if you want to do it remote, then you need to work towards it and not work towards getting placed in a corporate job for placement. So don't think about marks, think about networking in that scenario, and think of places how would you network to get remote jobs. And yeah, there are plenty of websites online that offer remote jobs, but again, you should be cautious, like with that kind of market. Once you are remote, you are international, the competition is also 10x probably. Anybody from the world is a candidate, so are you. So there will be thousands of applicants in the particular job application. So what you need to do is do something to stand out from that crowd, which is get referrals, get something on your portfolio, something on your CV that will stand out, or just go through the network. The best way I put it is like approach a guy in a coffee shop who is working on a laptop. He is probably working remotely. Nag him and tell him that I need a job. If you are confident about yourself and you have something to show to him, I know he'll be more than happy to refer you, at least for the referral bonus that he'll get. So for sure, it will be worth it. It's a win-win situation. Just you need to, have the courage.
You bring up a really good point, which is the importance of networking and focusing on standing out of the crowd. So when you think about like networking in order to get a remote job, like how should people do it?
You can go to meetups in your local cities. So Pune, Bangalore, big cities like Delhi, Gurgaon have regular meetups in almost all technologies. I know Ruby community has a meetup in every city, I would say, but I'm sure other technologies also do have meetups. Or in general, go to tech conferences that are there, expos, so that you meet people who are working in the real industry, and they are looking for talent. I mean, it's a challenge for them also. So someone who, as a fresher, is looking for a job, there are companies who need to hire, and it is a task for them as well. So it will, if you guys meet together, it's a win-win for both. So yeah, that's another way. Meetups.
Right.
And
how are
that's
you like, do you also think about focusing on your skills for standing out of the crowd? So let's say like you don't have to look for a job right now, but let's say you were to find like go in the market and look for a remote job. So how are you planning for that? Or are you planning for that at all?
I mean, of course, Circle can like just tell me, okay, perform or perish. You are not performing well, and just lay me off anytime. I mean, they are doing good, fully, but I need to be prepared. So what I do is stay on top of things that are happening in the tech industry. I see layoffs happening in Amazon, Google. Then I go to LinkedIn. I always check what is the current job market like, and keep myself updated. Just keeping myself updated about the happenings also is like 50% of my job done, because I know in the worst situation that I get laid off, I'll get at least a month of notice, and in that 1 month what I need to do. So I mean, I randomly scroll LinkedIn like people for watch reels, and like connect with people related to my industry. I do not ping them or as such yet, but I know when times comes and I post on like email or a post that I'm laid off, I am sure I'll have a more visibility than what I would otherwise. So that is how I prepare. And join newsletters, like there is rubyonremote.com, there is remote OK, other websites, they have newsletters and subscriptions. You can see remote opportunities. One thing I actually did before landing like a good job at like Circle was before joining Persistent, I gave like 3-4 off-campus interviews, even though I had an offer, just to be, on top of how the interview is cracked. So you can do that. I mean, even if you have a job and you're not planning to switch immediately, just apply, and if you get an interview call, attend that, and that will give a good experience and give you confidence basically to say what you want in a job opportunity and get it eventually. So
That's
yeah.
nice. Yeah, that's good advice.
I think the main takeaway here is that even when you have a job, being proactive and like looking for opportunities or
Absolutely.
upskilling yourself, like, yeah, that always helps.
Yes, you are not the founder, you are an employee after all, so we need to be on the tool.
And are you also doing like anything to boost your portfolio, like apart from your work at Circle?
I used to write blogs. Right now, I have written almost 15-20 blogs on Rails, and some of them appear like in the front page of Google when you search. So that
Nice.
itself gives you a lot of visibility. I mean, I can just share the blog links to the next recruiter I have, and he'll be like, okay, this guy knows his shit. If he can write 15 blogs about Rails features, probably he knows how to code in Rails as well. So that's one
Right.
thing. Another thing is like open source contribution. Personally, I haven't done much of it, but I can guarantee you that it is very, very helpful, because it's something that actually helps in a remote job very much, because to land a remote job, what you need is background verification and trust from the employer, because that is I would say, the most important pain point that companies face while hiring remotely and are hesitant to hire remotely, is because they don't know the guy personally, or what. I mean, he could just fake up his portfolio, he can fake his projects, you never know. But if you do open source contributions, you know that it is verified by other PR reviewers and has a coding standard which is accepted universally, and you have committed to it. So they know that you are an authentic person by that. Just for that validation, contributing to open source is a good way to stand out. Yeah.
Right. That's really good advice. If I am somebody who is yet to get his first opportunity out of college, what should I be doing?
Yeah, do internships. That's the first advice. Even if your college doesn't offer one, go against the college and don't tell the college that you are doing an internship, but do it. Go to your relative, go to your nearest tech, I know, cyber cafe, I don't know, but do something that you can actually call as an internship, and you can put an experience to it and learn and try to solve a real world problem and not a college assignment, because it differs a lot. I mean, not just technical aspect, but how to communicate, how to be disciplined, how to deliver, how to speak, and how to tell, okay, this is the task you told me and I have done this task, and that is how I present it to you. So this process also is very important, and I feel if you do that, you will crack a fresher interview for sure. I mean, with this tools like ChatGPT and Lead Code and everything, you are all set technical from the technical aspect if you work hard. But for the way to stand out in a fresher interview is this: okay, this guy can actually present, I don't need to put my head into it. So for a manager, getting work off his plate is the best gift, or I would say best thing that you can do for him, is take work off his plate and not add to his place. Okay, he has to prepare tasks for you, okay, he has to assign you work, then that's an additional load on him which anybody won't like. Instead, if you take off work from his plate, he would be more than happy to select you, hire you, and promote you. So yeah, that's
Right.
the advice.
And like when you say meetups, and when like a fresher is maybe going at a meetup, then what's the approach to take over them?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad that you asked it. I missed it. So I would say, just for the first meetup that you go to, just be there. What you'll learn from the talk is, okay, how to sit 1 hour listening to tech talks outside your normal study material. Next, if you're an introvert, it's fine if you don't talk to other people around. I know it's difficult, but what you can do is at least approach the speaker. There will be like 2 to 3 talks, and the speaker is obviously an extrovert because he's speaking, and he will be nice to you and talk to you very nicely. Just go say hi to him and ask him questions about his presentation. Ask which company does he work for, do they hire. That's it. Even if you do it once a month, 2 to 3 speakers, you have at least 3 new companies that that are probably good for you, because those companies are encouraging their employees to speak at conferences and meetup, and probably they have a good culture. So that is how you can choose good companies as well. So yeah,
Right.
meetup like gives you a good exposure of all types of things. So yeah, attend them.
This is a really
Yeah.
good advice. So even if you're an introvert, you can just at least go and talk to the speaker, and where you can network through events.
Yeah, and if you go as an introvert, I am sure there are a couple of other introverts around you who are completely clueless of what is happening in that room, but they're still there. And when you approach, I would guarantee like all those two people will follow and listen from behind. Okay, what is this guy talking about? You can be that guy also. That guy is also being more proactive than the person who is not attending the meetup. So like start somewhere.
Right.
So yeah, that's an
Right.
advice.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I would say I'm intentionally extrovert. So I don't like to talk unnecessarily to many people, but I know there are certain benefits of being an extrovert. So whenever I can, I just force myself to talk, and it always pays off. Trust me. So you should. Yeah.
And is this like the strategy that you like personally employ, like just going and talking to speakers, or is there something else also that you do when you're at a meetup?
No, and you can actually chill. Just go there. They offer free snacks at most meetups because it's like a 2 hour thing. Go there, have free food, have free advice, and come back. You don't need to overthink about it. You will enjoy. But only thing is, it's on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday. You will have to, stop your Instagram scrolling and go there. And it's at faraway places in IT parks. So that's the commitment that you have to give.
Okay, love this. I have one more advice question for you. So,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm a developer from a tier two or tier three college who feels like I'm stuck in my career, or maybe I'm at a service-based company that is not paying too well, then what should I do in order to, improve my career prospects without like going to a master's degree?
Okay, sure. I can give you an example. I am from a tier two, tier three college. So, and I never in this entire podcast, I mentioned something about marks and being intelligent, being the topper. So, I would say that is immaterial from which college you are. It only matters for the first job you are landing, probably. But if you already have some or the other job, you know that you're employable at least, and you just need to work on yourself better and keep hustling, and eventually you'll land it. It's not like rocket science as such. What are you like? At least for the develop like crowd that we are talking to, nobody is Einstein, or I would say Abdul Kalam. So it's not rocket science. It's easy if you put your work to it. Like put in the hours and put in the dedication. It will be worth it. Yeah.
Especially like in remote companies, do they don't even care about what college you're coming from, right? Like in India,
No.
it would probably matter that you're from an IIT
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
premium colleges, but in remote companies, I think nobody cares about those things.
Yeah, 100%. Especially in IT, it's anyways, even in good corporates like Google, Amazon, they don't value degrees so much. But of course, when it's remote, they don't even care. I mean, they don't have any idea about 90% in India is equivalent to how many percent in US. The conversion is also not clear, so they just see the output.
Right.
For the rest.
Like this. Okay, so now I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the challenges that might come with working remotely. So one of the main challenges that people with teammates all around the world say is that you don't get to make friends. This is something that I faced myself when I was working remotely as well. So do you feel this as well?
Yeah, I do. And this is a real challenge, I must say. Good thing at Circle is that we have semi-annual offsites. So I do occasionally get a chance to meet my teammates. But of course, those are not like my everyday friends that I hang out with. So you need to be, again, intentional about socialization, unfortunately. Everything you do remotely, you have to be self-motivated and intentional. Only then you can, go ahead from the normal traditional path that people have already set. This is how I like to quote it. Like remote work provides you to have a flexible routine of your own and not be routine less. So you have your power to make your own routine. That does not mean you do everything disorganized.
Right.
If you cannot do that, I would suggest, that's my next point I was going to talk about, that if you cannot do that yourself, if you are not self-motivated, or I mean not even self-motivated, if you cannot make your own routine, are not very disciplined, I would suggest do not start with a remote job. Go to a normal traditional job for a couple of years, inculcate that discipline and work ethic, and then switch to a remote job. That will be really helpful for you. And coming back to your question about the challenges at making friends, yeah, it's a challenge. So I would say again, meetups would help to some degree, but you don't want to make a lot of technical friends, honestly, and just talk about work. So yeah, just hang out with your old friends and go to cafes to work and socialize, so that you are more, don't stay at home. Simple. Work, it's remote, it's not work from home. There's a difference. So follow that. Travel.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So,
my advice.
yeah, so over the last, let's say, 2 to 3 years, if I ask you to think about the new friends that you've made, like what are the sources that these new friends have come from?
Okay. So I would say couple of them are my colleagues that I made when I met at them at circle offsites, and others are, I would say, my college friends only. It's really tough to make new friends when you are remote. I won't lie.
Yeah.
So or you need to be like somewhere in Bangalore, and so you need to get out of your house. I stay with my parents, so the environment hasn't changed for me, and probably that's the reason I couldn't make new friends. But if you are remote and if you move out of your city completely, then you will actually make friends easily, because you'll have roommates, they will have their best friends, and you can just collaborate and have new friends easier. So yeah, I would do that someday. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's very real, and I feel that myself. So it was even like I moved to Bangalore, and even then it was very difficult to make new friends.
Make new friends. Yeah. It's actually the same as getting a new job, I would say. You need that friend to be a good culture, good everything. You have to choose wisely, because I mean, he would be a wonderful person. However, but if he's not remote, and if he's not like available, you won't have friends to hang out every day, because the work hours are not the same. So yeah, it's like when your dear best friends move to US. I know they are your dear friends, but there of course develops some level of communication gap due to the time zones. It's like similar experience. So
Right.
yeah.
And so next question. So another major critique of remote work is that it limits your growth because you're not with your colleagues in person, face to face. So people say that it means that you can't learn through osmosis, just from sitting together and I don't know, discussing in a free flowing thoughts. So do you agree with this or disagree with this?
I somewhat agree to this. I mean, there are definite benefits of working from an office, like you said, osmosis of, just bouncing around ideas and getting to know the day that other people follow, so that you can follow the same routine. But it depends on your company, honestly. What are you doing there? Are you going to drink tea every 2 hours and waste the time, or are you actually talking about new technologies? And if you are wasting, like going to tea, going to hang out, then it's better off remote. Otherwise, yeah, it has some advantages to meet in person. It's about just being familiar with your colleagues, I would say. If you're comfortable enough remotely, both of you, then it's easier to bounce off ideas. I mean, I could personally see the shift when I first met my manager physically, like I was in Thailand. So before that, I thought I was talking to a bot, probably. He's a robot. But then, yeah, when I met him, I thought, okay, this guy is real. He has a personality, he has emotions. And when I come back, probably he'll empathize with me when I have some difficulties or problems. So I was less hesitant to talk to him after the offsite. So yeah, that helps.
And have you felt like, tell me about the growth, like personal growth aspect of, working in this job and learning. So do you ever feel that you might have learned faster if you were at an in-person or you were going to office at a job?
100%. I would say I literally didn't wanted to switch to the from Josh after Ceylon because of this reason. Like I was happy. I was working in a traditional office setup which was close to my home. Like I said, I didn't choose to be in a remote company for the remote culture. It was because of the compensation and the opportunity, firstly. But yeah, eventually why not? I mean, you get to spend more time with the family and friends, and it's like chilled, laid back. You can have food at home, have healthy food, workout. So there are obviously good perks of remote. So now I am in the remote camp, and I want to switch back to going to the traditional office camp ever. But yeah, so I did regret it for like a couple of months when I joined Saloon. But that's okay. I mean, remote is the future, I would say. If you can pull it off, then it's definitely better. So yeah.
Right. So I have like one final question for you, Rohit, which is that now that you've reached the salaries and the compensation that, as you said, it takes most Indians like decades to reach, and maybe like in their 30s, and that's the plan that they have. Now, how has this changed your career aspirations or the impact that you want to have in the world?
Speaking of impact, I would say career-wise, I'm happy, and I know because even at Circle, I'm not the senior most person over there, so I have a lot of room for growth here. Until I reach that ceiling, I would be happy to stay here. Let's see. After that, I would have a lot of capital to think where I can invest, fortunately, and I might start my own thing like a startup or a passive silent investor in some other startup, non-tech business also, like open up a cafe. I don't know. But once you have that capital, you have a lot of room to think about and realize your ideas. So that's my goal. Right now, I'm just saving a lot of money. Yeah. So and you said of impact. Honestly, I would say we are like a needle in a haystack when it comes to like remote and international. I mean, working in India for a US compensation salary sounds like a dream for us, but it is honestly a pretty normal thing for people already in America. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, you are doing your own impact, but the impact is mostly localized. Like my family's lifestyle, people around me, and that impact has definitely changed. It is very impactful, but on a global scale, I think it's just like any other job. Unless this podcast goes viral and I actually make some good impact with upcoming remote workers.
Yeah, I think you will. This podcast is very viral material.
Yep. Thanks to you.
No, thank you so much for coming on, and this was so fantastic talking with you.
So Nitesh, what did you think about this interview?
I think it was really cool talking to somebody. Especially like for me, it was because he was a Rails developer and they're using Rails for curate connections. That was very interesting, and also I'm very surprised by how many connections he has. So Rohit it's like he's a very serial connector. And,
I was surprised that he labeled himself as an introvert who is an extrovert sometimes, because that's clearly, it didn't feel like that from the kind of connections and everything that he has.
Exactly, yeah. Like he knows everybody that he can know in the Rails India community, and then he has received, like, apart from I think the first job, he received every other job by networking. So that's like really interesting.
Yeah, it just like Rohit's story just emphasizes the benefits of networking and how it can help your career in the long run.
Exactly. I mean, he's not like famous. So if you go to LinkedIn, he has just 700 or 800, normal that kind of number of connections and followers. But
I think the quality of connections matters more than the quantity. Yeah.
Exactly.